What a turnaround it has been for Sam Houston, who went 3-9 last year in their first year as a member of the FBS. Under head coach Casey Keeler, the Bearcats won an FCS national championship and made it to the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs before they began the transition to the FBS. In their second year as a member of the Conference USA, they almost found themselves in the conference title game, have a chance to win their first bowl game in program history later this month, and complete their first 10-win season as an FBS program. But sadly, they will be attempting to achieve that feat with a new head coach now that Keeler will be taking the Temple head coaching job that ends an amazing era where the Bearcats won 97 games across 2 levels of Division I football. This is the rise of Sam Houston football. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know who you think will be the next head coach at Sam Houston, and whether they will be able to continue to climb to be the next great Group of 5 program in the comment section below. The last time we talked about Sam Houston football was over the summer, when they were in the middle of what looked to be a multi-year rebuild as they were transitioning to the FBS level from the FCS, and I basically talked about how the program had fallen off via the title of the video. What head coach Casey Keeler did this year though was prove me wrong, and was extremely impressive. In 2023, Sam Houston went 3-9 in their first year as a member of the Conference USA. While the record was not great, there were signs the Bearcats could play at a high level come 2024. 5 of their losses were by 1 possession, and 2 were in overtime at home, so it was not like they were getting blown out, so there were high hopes of doing well this season. The Bearcats started the 2023 season 0-8, but finished the season 3-1 in their final 4 games. College Football News wrote in their preview piece earlier this year, "It was as if they just needed a little bit of a spark. The defense fought the good fight game in and out." And it really is possible to point to about 5, probably more like 7 moments that could have changed everything had they gone the Bearcats' way. If they were going to improve record-wise this year, they were going to need to get their running game going, and their passing game was going to need to be more explosive as they ranked 124th in the nation, averaging just 6 yards per throw. To fix this, they added Central Michigan quarterback transfer Jace Bauer, hoping to improve the quarterback position, though that would not be the case. Noah Smith was expected to be one of the best wide receivers in the Conference USA, and they also returned Malik Phillips as the number 2 wide receiver. At tight end, they added Texas A&M transfer Fernando Garza, and the room looked deep when looking at the roster on paper. On the defensive side of the ball, they did not return as much experience and hoped to get more of a disruption compared to 2023. Isaiah Nixon led the team with 5 sacks in 2023, but hoped Javon Leon could return to being a defensive star after dealing with injuries throughout last season. College Football News set their win total at 6.5 for the 2024 season, with likely wins over Kennesaw State and Louisiana Tech, while having toss-up games against FIU, Hawaii, Jacksonville State, Liberty, New Mexico State, Rice, Texas State, UTEP, and Western Kentucky, while their likely loss was against UCF. As how things looked on paper, there's a reason we play the games. They were at the very least expected to compete for a bowl game this season. Dan Campbell's Texas Football felt the fans had watched the worst case scenario come to light in 2023, as they showed they could hang with most of their opponents throughout conference play. They wrote, "A fanbase that grew accustomed to big games and important stakes was left watching a team struggle to reach half the required wins for bowl eligibility. They were concerned about whether the offensive line could take a major jump in year 2 as an FBS program, and was worried about the team staying healthy. They felt that if everything went right, a team that was used to competing for national titles at the FCS level could compete for the Conference USA title this season, as they felt the defense could be stout this season, and it all depended on the offense. They felt besides Liberty and Western Kentucky, the rest of the conference was a crapshoot, and that this team was built to survive a chaotic scenario in 2024. They felt like the team could make a bowl game and could compete to win the conference in 2024. They also welcomed in a new defensive coordinator and former Abilene Christian defensive coordinator Skylar Cassidy after Joe Morris left to take the New Mexico State defensive coordinator position. At 29 years old, Cassidy became the youngest defensive coordinator at the FBS level, with Keeler saying, "Skylar first landed on our radar after we faced him during the 2022 season. He is a bright, young mind who has spent his whole life around the game. We are excited to see him leading our defense and playing a fast and aggressive brand of football." Cassidy is the son of Mike Cassidy, who spent 22 years as a Division I defensive coordinator at Louisville, Illinois, Oklahoma State, Baylor, Cincinnati, Georgia Tech, East Carolina, UL Monroe, and Western Kentucky. Homegrown developed quarterback Hunter Watson would win the starting quarterback job heading into the season, led the Bearcats to a big win over Rice to start the year off 1-0. Watson would throw for 2 touchdowns and 229 yards while rushing for 57 yards on the ground, as Sam Houston would jump out to a 17-0 lead after returning an interception for a touchdown as well. They would never look back, winning 34-14 over their American Conference counterpart. They would get a reality check against UCF, falling 45-14 in Orlando, which was expected, but bounced back with a big win over Hawaii 31-13. That would spark a 4-game win streak for the Bearcats, their longest winning streak at the FBS level, as they would blow Hawaii, New Mexico State, and UTEP out and won a close game against Texas State at NRG Stadium 40-39. The Bearcats rallied back from a 22-point deficit over their in-state rivals, one of the Lone Star's oldest rivalries. Christian Pavon drilled the game-winning field goal with 6 seconds left to give them the win. Heading into a major game against Western Kentucky that would have Conference USA Championship game ramifications, Sam Houston was sitting at 5-1, just one win away from going bowling for the first time in school history. Though they would take a 14-10 lead halfway through the second quarter, Western Kentucky would fight their way back to take a 17-14 lead into half and shut out Sam Houston in the second half, as they would go on to win 31-14 to drop the Bearcats down to 5-2 and giving them their first loss in conference play. The defense would put the team on their back the next 2 games, only allowing 10 points between FIU and Louisiana Tech, as they would win defensive battles in each of them 10-7 against the Panthers and 9-3 over the Bulldogs to move to 7-2 and lock themselves into a bowl game. They would then defeat Kennesaw State 23-17 in overtime to move to 8-2 on the season, beating the transitioning Owls on the road. That would set up another crucial Conference USA matchup against Jacksonville State on the road, a game the Bearcats would lose 21-11, taking the ability to control their own destiny to play in the conference title game and to move to 8-3 on the season. Heading into this past weekend, Sam Houston had an important game against Liberty. With a win and a Western Kentucky loss to Jacksonville State, the Bearcats would play the Gamecocks in the Conference USA title game. If Western Kentucky won, then they would play Jack State instead. Sam Houston would take a 3-2 lead into the second quarter, yes, you heard that right, before scoring 14 unanswered points to take a 17-2 lead with 6:45 left in the half. Liberty would score a touchdown right before half to make it 17-9, but the Bearcats responded with the field goal 2/3 of the way through the third quarter to take a commanding 20-9 lead on Black Friday. Liberty would not go down without a fight though, as they would score the final 9 points of the game, including a touchdown with 1:10 left in the fourth quarter on a Caden Salters 33-yard run. Down 20-18, Liberty would go for 2, and Huntsville native Bryson Hayes would seal the game with an interception on the 2-point attempt. While the rushing game struggled for most of the season, Jay Ducker would impress during the regular season finale, rushing for 96 yards on the ground, while Watson rushed for 42 yards on the ground, and Sam Houston's defense kept the nation's second-ranked rushing attack to 179 yards, after they came into the game averaging 266.7 yards per game on the ground. After the game, Keeler said, "I am so proud of this team. What a great way for the senior class to leave. This senior class has a national championship, the best calendar year in college football history, 3 conference titles in 2021, and the first bowl-eligible team. It was emotional today. Hunter was more decisive. I talked to the team last night about this. I told them we are playing a great defense, and at one point this offense scored 40 points against Texas State. What I have seen in practice is they lose some confidence, so get the confidence back. I thought we played with confidence, and that's why it's so important on the first drive." Sam Houston held up its end of the bargain to get into the Conference USA Championship game, but a 50-yard field goal from Western Kentucky kicker Lucas Carnero snuck its way through the upright, sending the Hilltoppers to the Conference Championship game this week. When I was originally planning to make this video over the weekend, this was going to be the part where I write about how Keeler was building a monster at Sam Houston that could contend for the Group of 5 playoff spot down the road due to their fertile recruiting grounds. But that was before the shocking news broke that Keeler was going to be leaving Sam Houston to take the Temple head coaching job, something I was not expecting. His move ends an extended run with Sam Houston State, an 11-year stint that included a 97-39 record and an FCS National Championship in 2021. Keeler was an experienced program builder ready to lead Sam Houston into the new era of FBS play. Offense coordinator Brad Cornelsen will serve as the team's interim head coach for the bowl game. SMU offense coordinator Casey Woods is the early favorite to land the head coaching job after a successful stint as a coordinator at the Power 4 level. The Mustangs were 8th in the FBS in scoring points per game, 38.7, and 16th in yards per game with 454.9 in 2023, the last year in the AAC. SMU, which is going to be playing in the ACC Conference Championship game, was 5th in the country with 39.2 points per game scored after the final week of the regular season. Kansas State assistant head coach Van Malone, Duke offense coordinator Jonathan Brewer, Syracuse offense coordinator Jeff Nixon, Texas A&M offensive line coach Adam Cushing, and Incarnate Word head coach Clint Killow are the other names to watch. This will be an attractive Group of 5 job due to their recruiting grounds and their history of success. What do you think? Who will be Sam Houston's next head coach? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.